Welcome to the Fantasy Football Bros Podcast, a podcast where two brothers talk and debate fantasy football. I'm your host, Dylan Wagella, here with my co-host,
Mitchell Wagella, a.k.a. King Chops.
We got a very special episode for you today, but before we get into that, let's real quick let you know, like our page on Facebook, the Fantasy Football Bros Podcast. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, etc. Okay, we got a very special guest in the house today. Our friend Matthew Weaver is here, and we're going to help him draft today. What do you think, Mitchell? How do you think he's going to do?
Well, I don't know. It seems like he's pretty open to advice, so I think it's just going to be a fun episode. I don't know how he's going to do yet, but we'll see.
This is a eight-person league, so a small league. Is this your family league, Matt?
It is.
Family league. I remember I helped him draft last year, and we got a lot of steals because I think a lot of these people don't know what they're doing. Is that fair to say, Matt?
They are Detroit homers.
Detroit homers. So the only difference is the standard scoring. Interceptions are -2, and passing touchdowns are 6 points instead of 4. Weaver has the number one pick. Me and Mitchell have a debate here. He's got a minute until the draft starts. My recommendation is David Johnson, even though I know that it is a two-quarterback league. I figure with eight people in the league, you can still get some pretty solid quarterbacks. I don't think the touchdowns points matter that much when you can take David Johnson. What do you think, Mitchell?
So I think if you don't snag the best quarterback available here, you're making a mistake because it's 6 points per touchdown, and he's already told me that his family is a quarterback-heavy league. So I could see a lot of top quarterbacks going away within the first 2 rounds before it swings back to him. And I think you could find a lot more value within running backs and wide receivers.
I think that's a fair argument, but I will argue the latter because if it is a quarterback-heavy league and there's only 8 people, so that's 2. The top 16 quarterbacks, you can still find and navigate some good quarterbacks in there to start for your team. But while they're wasting all their picks on quarterbacks, you could be picking up David Johnson. You could be picking up, players like maybe who knows who could fall, Julio Jones in the second. I'm not sure what will happen if they're drafting quarterbacks. You might be able to get some top-tier talent otherwise.
Well, it looks like we're going to have to make a decision here.
So we're on the clock.
55 seconds.
We're on the clock.
Weaver?
Weaver's the judge here. He gets to make the final say, obviously, because this is his team. But this is basically the fantasy court today.
My vote's in for Aaron Rodgers. I think it makes sense. You know your family better than we do, but
I'm going to make the case for David Johnson. I think he's going to rush for 1,000 yards. He's going to receive for 1,000 yards. And I think he's just going to score you a hell of a lot of fantasy points.
Knowing the next few people picking, I feel like David Johnson's going to go next. It's not the people who pick the quarterbacks till like 6 and 7. So I think I'm going to go with Johnson.
David Johnson, the first pick. Okay, so we got DJ. I think that's a solid pick. Off the board, second goes Le'Veon Bell, which is a clear second pick. I can't argue with that. We'll see when these quarterbacks go. We just recently had our drafts done. I think we got some pretty decent teams. I do think that my teams are better than Mitchell's, though. We'll have an episode maybe after this draft. We'll talk about it. So third off the board goes Antonio Brown. Next is Julio Jones. Still no quarterback off of the board.
I still think it's a mistake.
You think it's a mistake? Well, what if he gets Rodgers in the end of the second round?
Well, then, that's just on this league's fault, I think.
Well, yeah, I think that's another thing to take into account here is that, they're probably going to draft up to the rankings. And that might not necessarily be the best bet.
But if they were going off the rankings for the league, then all the quarterbacks would have gone right away, and that hasn't happened.
That's true. So while we're waiting here, Beckham went 5th, and 6th went Jay Ajayi. So this is going to be a fascinating draft. Mike Evans comes off 7th. Mitchell, let's review our slap bets that we have so far this year.
So far this year, we have 900-plus yards for Ty Montgomery. I said he will not pass 900. Dylan said he would.
How are you feeling on that? Because the news out there is that Ty is starting to have a good He's really looking good.
I still feel good on it. I think that he'll have a lot of receiving yards and he'll have a good year, but I still think that he's not going to get to 900 rushing yards. So it's only for rushing.
So as a pause here, when Evans, Murray, Jordy Nelson, Devonta Freeman, Rodgers is still available. Go ahead. Next one. So I'm still holding strong on Ty.
The next one was that I bet that Leonard Fournette would have 11 touchdowns or more, and you bet that he would not.
That one I'm still think I'm good, especially with the ankle injury that could be a reoccurring thing. We'll see. Is Fournette supposed to go week 1 here? So it looks like after Nelson, Freeman, McCoy, and Gordon left, the best player available looks like if we're not counting any quarterbacks would be AJ Green, which we just went right there, 13. Brady went 14. So right now, looking at the board, I'm thinking Rodgers probably should be his pick. He's got 2 though, so he could take Rodgers and Breeze here, which I think would be a really great combo to have. David Johnson, Rodgers, and Breeze in a 2-quarterback league.
Who just went?
Des Bryant.
Jeez. Yeah, I would take Aaron Rodgers. I mean, who else is available? Like best available on the entire board.
Michael Thomas, Jordan Howard, Ezekiel Elliott. Honestly, I would.
The quarterback's got to go though. So I would just.
I would go Rodgers and Breeze.
I can agree with that.
Because it's 2-quarterback league, you're going to have a huge advantage here. Breeze is a very solid quarterback. Yeah, I think you just already have a dominant team here.
Yeah.
So I think we can say it was fair enough to take David Johnson number 1 overall over Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, good thing we didn't make a slap bet on that.
But I really figured he would go, at least in the first round.
After that goes Howard. So what's our third? So we got 2. I would say the one I think I would lean Ty Montgomery would go to me here, but I would be willing to say Leonard Fournette is probably somewhere in the middle.
Be a push. Amir Abdullah, 900 plus rush yards.
So yeah, and I would say your probably advantage would go to you on that now. Amir's starting to look a little better through preseason. You can't take a lot from preseason. You can't from their numbers, but watching them play, I think you can take some pointers.
You can take some notes on their health.
Yeah,
That's
and
the key.
Well, and how they're running. Like Montgomery is looking like he's running really well. Plus, I think he's solidified starter now.
It's just a pass-heavy offense still.
It is, but they're going to try to run the ball, I think. So after Howard goes Russell Wilson. So you might have started the quarterback round, which should be good. What else we got on slap bets?
We got Devontae Adams, less than 9 touchdowns.
Devontae Adams, less than 9. And did you say he would have 9 or less than 9?
I said that he would have less than 9.
Okay, I would like to go back. I actually can't remember that, and I wrote down. I can't remember in my notes, but it confused me what I wrote down. But by the way, for those of you
already trying to go back on his bets.
No, I don't. I just don't remember. But for those of you who haven't listened to us before, what this is, what we're doing here is we're going through the slap bets. We have this bet where whoever loses more of these bets, right, has to get slapped in the face by the other person, and that person has to buy a jersey from someone involved in these bets for the other person. Mitchell is going to get slapped. Guarantee it.
Basically,
lock it up.
How it's going to work is we're going to make a bunch of bets. Dylan's going to reach a lot. I'm going to take advantage of that, and then you guys are going to get to watch a live video of me bitch slapping him right across the face.
We'll see.
I let him down way too easy on his last slap.
Oh, yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And it's time to get back.
But just like that, that was a miracle comeback by the Patriots, and that's not going to happen again.
All right, let's see. Is there anything happening on the draft?
Newton went. Baldwin, Cooks, Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt, Mike Thomas went. Michael Thomas. So looking at the board, I think probably in my mind the best player left is Gronkowski. Kelsey's still there. I know Yahoo has him ranked higher, but I think Gronk's the best there. Cooper's left. Terrell Pryor. Running backs. Oh, T.Y. Hilton's still there. Zeke's there. I think Zeke would be kind of a steal to grab here.
He's going.
He just got taken. I like Gurley and I like Crowell. I think getting a second running back. How many wide receivers? 4 wide receivers start? Dang. And 3 running backs start. I wasn't aware of that. And you have 2 wide receiver, running back, tight end, flex. I would definitely grab Gronk if Gronk is still there. What are you thinking, Mitchell?
Yeah, if Gronk's still there, I say take him. I mean, a lot of people sound good here. There's some people left here. I mean, it's an 8-person league.
Denver defense just went with the 28th pick in the draft.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds about right. One every year.
Oh, that's really great. That's really awesome. Yeah, I would snag and maybe even because you can start 2 tight ends. I don't know. I think you might be able to get the value in some of the wide receivers, but you maybe even snag up, Kelsey and Gronkowski, or would you rather have Gronkowski and T.Y. Hilton?
I think I'd rather have Gronkowski and T.Y. Hilton.
I think so too. You have more flexibility, especially when you have to start 4. But I would probably pick up. I don't know. I think T.Y. would be my highest ranked here, or Todd Gurley. I mean, you got to start 3 running backs. That's a lot of running backs. I think you need to. It's not PPR.
Hilton just went.
So it's you. I would definitely snag Gronk. I think he's got the most upside at this point.
Yeah.
And then I would probably take one of the running backs. I like Crowell better than Gurley, but I don't think Mitchell agrees with me on that.
I like Gurley. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. He had a sophomore slump, but that's pretty common. I think that he's
Go to the wide receivers just real quick, just to see what else is there. Yeah, I would go for the running back. I think you'll be able to pick up Gurley or Crowell. So we got 45 seconds. The case
one plays on the Rams, one plays on the Browns.
Yeah,
it's going to be a hard call.
But Crowell showed promise last year, right? Crowell, if we look at their stats, Gurley had only 885 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns. Crowell had 952 and 7 touchdowns. Gurley have a receiving touchdown? No, I don't know. I like Crowell. He's one of I'm big on him this year. I like Gurley too, though. I don't think either's bad.
Yeah, I mean he had a down year, but Gurley definitely has more potential. I mean, as a rookie, rushed for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Right. I mean, I think the Rams will be better. I don't think you could go wrong with either of them here, though. In round 4.
Who did you take?
He took Gurley.
Nice.
With 7 seconds left on the board, had to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice. I think Gurley's a good pick there. Solid. All the way around. Let's see here. So now sitting on the roster, we got Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Rob Gronkowski, David Johnson, and Todd Gurley. No wide receivers yet?
No wide receivers. So the next slap bet that we have looks like DeAndre Hopkins, 10+ touchdowns. I still think I'm going to get that one. He's a very talented player for a very bad team, and I don't think he's going to get 10 touchdowns. I can't see it in my mind. I feel like you made a risky bet there.
Yeah, that one might be my riskiest bet yet, but I think that I'm pretty good on all the other ones so far. But he might not get it, but that's one of my bold predictions as well. So wanted to make sure I stuck to my gut with that one.
With Nuke.
Yeah, I think it's going to be because of Deshaun Watson.
I think I read today he said he was 1,000% healthy this year.
That's great.
Was he hurt last year? I don't remember him being hurt anyway, but
he might be banged up. They always are, aren't they?
Right. Everybody is. So, was there any big news that we haven't talked about?
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that happened. There was over 1,000 players cut from NFL teams in one day. I know that's roster cutdown day, but it was the most in history. So a couple things happened. TJ Ward got released. Who got traded?
Stephon Ridley didn't make the Broncos team after scoring a touchdown in preseason.
Yeah, I don't know why you were so high on that. Philip Dorsett got traded to the Patriots for Jacoby Brissett.
And he's Tolson's starting week 1.
Yeah, Tolson's already starting week 1, so you got to kind of think that they're expecting Andrew Luck to not be there for multiple games.
Yeah, that could be the case. They did just say he was going to miss the first week, so finally they revealed that to us. Coming up here on Weaver's next pick, we got Kelsey was just taken prior. Jeffrey, Hopkins, and Miller. Okay, so we got top wide receivers available. In my mind are Crabtree, Keenan Allen, maybe Devontae Adams. Running backs, I still think you should probably take a running. If Crowell's there, I think you got to take Crowell. I would even maybe take Crowell and Montgomery because you could start both of them because you have a flex spot. And I think then you're leaving the rest of your league with not a lot of good running backs. Tight ends, you could also swing a Jordan Reed, which could be potentially, if you have Gronk and Reed and they both go off in a week, you got a pretty sweet team. You also have no wide receivers yet, but I don't think that that's a huge issue because there are just so many wide receivers to pick from. Especially you got an 8-man league. I would rather take the running backs personally because it's not PPR.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense to take running backs high. So let's pull the running backs back up.
Cousins was taken, Michigan-friendly league, double quarterbacks. Hopkins was taken, Jeffrey, and Keenan Allen. I would take, if it was me, I would take Crowell, Montgomery here at the swing. I think Mitchell probably has Lynch a little higher than Montgomery, though.
Yeah, I do. I would take Lynch over Montgomery just off potential for me, I think. He was a top 10 running back.
There goes Corral. That would have been a steal.
But I do agree if you got to double up, unless
there's a wide receiver.
Lynch or Montgomery goes right here. But I would take those two.
I am not big on Lynch. I would think I would grab a wide receiver. I would take Montgomery, and I would take Hyde over Lynch. I think. Lynch. They say he's not going to have over 200 carries.
I don't even think that matters. It's more about touchdown potential.
There goes Crabtree, so that takes that off. But I think if you took a combination of, I would definitely pick Team 2Y, Ty, not TY. I always want to call TY Hilton, Ty Hilton, and Ty Montgomery TY Montgomery for some reason. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, well it's his pick now. So you think you should take Ty? And
Ty. I would take Ty and Hyde, but I would be okay with Lynch here as well.
Yeah, I mean,
we got a comment from losing Nada option, and like Haloti Nada from the Lions might be the highest Cousins ever been drafted in fantasy football. I would probably say this draft might be the highest Denver defense has ever been drafted. That's what I was going to say. I would respond the same thing.
20 seconds.
20 seconds. What do you think?
You got to take two players. So.
I think you take Lynch and Ty. Montgomery.
So we'll take
Ty
right now before that disappears. Okay, now we got another minute.
So I think Lynch. I think Christian McCaffrey wouldn't be a horrible pick here.
I'm telling you, Mitchell, this might be a bold prediction. I don't know how we would even make this bet, but my bold prediction is I was watching Kyle Shanahan is going to turn San Francisco into a way better offense than people think. Carlos Hyde's going to have a good year. Pierre Garçon, I think, is going to have a good year, which is one of our slap bets. I just really, really believe in Kyle Shanahan's offense. But Marshawn Lynch is on a great up team. He's going to get the goal line carries.
I think even just goal line carries is what you need to focus
on. I would take Jordan Reed if Jordan Reed is here, actually.
I would not.
I know you don't like him.
You already have a health risk in Gronk at tight end. I would not take you back up as Jordan Reed. I mean, it's high potential, but
I mean, if one of those guys pan out, I feel like it's worth it because they're like the same player, NFC, AFC.
There's just a lot of value left on the board. I wouldn't take that risk. I would take Lynch, or I would even consider taking McCaffrey or the top wide receiver, but we only have 5 seconds, so it looks like it's
Marshawn Lynch. So the squad is sitting at, so it's 2 quarterback league, starting 4 wide receivers, 3 running backs, a tight end, and there's 2 wide receiver, running back, tight end flexes, a kicker, 2 defenses, and a awful lot of bench spots. We might not be on the podcast for the duration of the draft, but right now Weaver has Rodgers and Breeze as his 2 quarterbacks. He's got David Johnson, Todd Gurley, Ty Montgomery, Rob Gronkowski, and Marshawn Lynch. That sounds like a beast of a team, even in an 8-man league.
But I lost out on Denver's defense.
What place did you come in last year? Because I know I helped you draft
second.
last year.
I was in second last year.
We had a couple busts though. What was it? I think like Jamal Charles or something.
Yeah, Jamal Charles was one.
We didn't get him. We got him late though. There were some other ones that busted.
Eifert.
Eifert busted. I feel like Eifert's gonna bust again.
He's gonna have a big year.
He's just a bustaholic.
It's gonna be a big year for him.
He's just gonna bust a move and break his ACL.
If he can stay healthy, he'll be.
He's gonna have like 13 touchdowns.
So another slap that. Let's talk about the next one because I think this is one that I think I got for sure, and I don't think it's gonna be close.
In standard scoring, Pierre Garçon outscores Devontae Parker.
Yeah. So all of this is standard, right? So I definitely think that's going to happen. I really do. I know Jay Cutler's there now, but I just watching Hoyer and watching Garçon, I think that Garçon's going to get a lot of targets and a lot of scoring opportunities. If let's say their game script's going to be down, he's going to get garbage time yards. Garçon's the real deal. He's my fantasy MVP this year. I think he's going to win people some leagues because of the value you get where you draft him.
I think that's a big stretch, and I think that Devontae Parker has a lot of potential to have a bigger year than him. I mean, the 49ers are going to be a down team. No matter how good of a coach you get put in there, they just don't have the roster talent. Brian Hoyer does not lead high-scoring fantasy teams. He's one of the most cautious quarterbacks in the league. He's not a high-risk long ball player.
And Garçon's not a deep ball guy.
He's going to have like 7 touchdowns.
He's going to be a slant guy. He's going to have like 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns. Which when you draft him in the 10th plus round, that's the return of value is so high that he's going to be your MVP. And then you're going to buy his jersey for me when I win the slap bet. You're going to buy me a Pierre Garçon San Francisco 49ers jersey.
Yeah, we'll see.
Did Pierre get taken?
No.
He's still on the board. I wouldn't take him this early because, like I said, I think the value you can wait on him. But looking at some people who have came off, Emmanuel Sanders, Jameis Winston, Devontae Parker, which is Mitchell's guy that he's talking about, Kelvin Benjamin, Joe Mixon, and Andrew Luck was just taken. I'm a little worried about Andrew Luck. I have him in a dynasty league, and which is good for a dynasty, but I feel like he might miss.
Is it
3
good
or 4
for dynasty though?
Games. Yeah, Andrew Luck when he plays is the most consistent fantasy quarterback in the league.
And I think my argument would go against what you just said, and I'll just take one section of what you said. If he plays, he's been really knocked up over the past 4 years.
He's gonna play in his career. He's a quarterback. He's not gonna be injured his entire career. So we're coming up on Weaver's next pick. C.J. Anderson, Marcus Mariota. There goes Jordan Reed. Let's see. Top players available or on the rankings would be Robinson, Crowder. I think we need. Let's just peek at the running backs real quick. You can, yeah. Abdullah's there. Ingram's there. I almost think you should take one more running back and then start just swiping wide receivers. I would, but what do we got with the wide receiving core? Here, just go to the flex spot. So we're looking at Robinson, Abdullah, Crowder. I actually kind of like. I would almost recommend taking Golden Tate here, and that's not. I'm not saying that just because he's a Lion. I think Golden Tate's going to have a really good year.
They're always a pass-happy offense.
I would almost go with 2 Lions here with Tate and Abdullah. Honestly,
I don't like carrying 2 playmakers on the same team. Too much, unless it's a quarterback and a wide receiver.
See, I don't. It doesn't matter to me if I think they're going to be good. They're going to be good. I mean, some offenses you want to have it. Like I would love to have Aaron Rodgers and Ty Montgomery and Jordy Nelson. That would be a great lineup to have. If it so happened to be that way. Let's see. We took Golden Tate, and you might want to take another wide receiver. Can you go to the wide receivers only? Allen Robinson at this value might be the right value to take him. He's going to be the number 1 target in that offense.
Yeah, I think you take Allen Robinson here.
Or Crowder. I would take one of those 2. I think you take Allen Robinson here. He's fallen far enough to where I think you need to take him. But I just don't like the guy.
I think he'll be all right. I mean, I don't think Blake Bortles is going to be anything to write home about. But even if Chad Henne gets in there, I think he'll still have upwards of 8 touchdowns.
There's some potential with Allen Robinson. And I think that you'll be able to pick up value elsewhere. Or I would take Amir Abdullah.
I'd take Robinson.
You can take Robinson. I already have a Lion. That's enough.
Allen Robinson. So now the squad is looking like this. Breeze, Rodgers, Tate, Robinson, 2 empty starting wide receiver spots for now. David Johnson, Todd Gurley, Ty Montgomery, Rob Gronkowski, Marshawn Lynch, and an empty flex, and then a couple empty defensive spots in the kicker spot.
A couple defensive.
2 defenses. Who's your commissioner, Weaver?
My cousin Ben.
Is Ben the one we met?
Yep.
He's the commissioner and he set all the rules and everything?
He goes by what the other people in the league
Want, so it's like a vote?
So he just sets it all up.
Okay. We have a draft tomorrow, our last draft of the year. How are you feeling about this draft tomorrow, Mitchell?
Well, I don't know where I'm picking, and I don't know anybody really that we're picking with how they play fantasy football. So I feel fine about it. Don't feel good about it. Don't feel bad. There's nothing to really know yet. It's not that important.
I have drafted from like the 7, the 8, or the 9 spot in 10 and 12 team leagues all year, and I'm just excited. I want to pick from a different spot. I really want to have David Johnson on one of my teams because I want to root for him. I really like him, and I like rooting for the Cardinals too because we just moved to Phoenix last year. Back to the slap bets. After Pierre Garçon, what's the next one?
We only have one more after that, and that's that Kyle Rudolph will finish as a top 7 tight end, and you said you're for that.
Yeah, I think Kyle Rudolph will finish as a top 7 tight end. No doubt. I think he's one of the more undervalued players. Bradford loves his tight ends. So, looking forward, Mitchell, kind of like I said, Pierre Garçon would be my fantasy MVP based on value. So who's someone you think is getting drafted lower this year that you believe is going to have a year that could win people championships? Like this guy is maybe being drafted in round 8 or later, but is going to return round 1 through 4 value.
It's a pretty loaded question to not prepare for. Let me get back to you on that. Let me think about that for a second. I mean, I'm big on Devontae Parker, but I don't know if you could say that's loaded value. He's getting taken in like the 6th round, 7th round. But I think he could have great numbers, like Alshon Jeffrey when his glory days type of numbers.
Yeah, I thought Jay Cutler said he's just a faster version of Alshon Jeffrey or something.
I did not hear that, but that'd be shots fired.
He said something like that. I can't remember exactly the words he used, but he was saying that he was better in ways.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I think he can be. I've been high on him. I was high on him last year. He had a couple good games, but never really came out. So I think this is the year he has his breakout year.
So who would you say then are like your guys this year? Like who are the people in fantasy that you're like really want on your team or have tried to get on your team?
Well, Devontae Parker definitely. I've been getting Marcus Mariota a lot in like fantasy or like mock drafts, but the thing is, it never works out the same when you actually draft it. So I think it's hard to say that I have guys because my teams this year are pretty spread out. I wanted to kind of do like studying, you know what I mean? So I split them up a little bit for the less value leagues. But I'm really
okay. So you're trying different formulas and seeing how they work for you this year.
Exactly. I've had some off years, so.
I have a lot of the same players. I keep tooting Pierre Garçon somewhere. That sounded kind of weird. And
you've been tooting his horn all night. I'll tell you that.
And I also really like Ty Montgomery. There's no surprise there. I think Ty Montgomery is going to have, and I think Jordy Nelson's really undervalued in his position, especially in standard leagues. Let's see. So someone just took Weaver made a weird face. So they took Kansas City defense. Mike Gillislee is someone who's not my dude. I don't want Mike Gillislee or anyone on the New England backfield. I don't think even with extreme value, I just you don't know. You don't know what you're getting when you pick a New England running back. I took LeGarrette Blount last year, and even though he scored 18 touchdowns, there were a lot of weeks where I'd either start him and he did nothing, or I wouldn't start him and he'd score a lot of points. It's too frustrating for a fantasy owner.
See, I'm kind of excited to see what Gillislee can do because he's not. I mean, everybody's expecting him to step in and take over Lynch's role, or not Lynch, Blunt's role, but I don't think that's what it'll be. I think he'll be a little bit more complete than Blunt.
Here we go. Weaver's on the clock. Let's take a look at those wide receivers. I don't know how I feel about Jarvis because of
Not being a PPR.
it's not PPR, but also, Rivers has this knack to kind of like lock on to someone. I honestly think at this board, the best wide receiver on the board is Pierre Garçon. I really do believe that. I don't know if you see someone else who you would argue for over him.
I would rather take Jarvis Landry, Stephon Diggs, and Brandon Marshall. All would be ranked higher than Pierre Garçon.
Really? I don't know. The only person I might have higher than Pierre Garçon is Tyrell Williams.
Well, I just don't see Pierre Garçon getting in the end zone a lot.
I do. I think he's got a good after the catch moves. He's gonna get the ball a lot. It's all about targets for me. But is there any running backs? Oh, you got to make a pick here. My vote's for Pierre Garçon. I would also be okay with Tyrell Williams or Brandon Marshall.
Oh, goodness.
I'd say Brandon Marshall's my pick.
I'll go Garcon. I can always drop and trade later.
Well, you're not going to need to drop Garçon. But
So, my thinking here for this next one, because they're going to start going here shortly, is I need another quarterback at some point. And Dak is still on the board.
Neither of us are very high on Dak.
So is Eli and Dalton.
And Derek Carr is there. I like Dalton this year. I also like
I'd take Derek Carr out of all those.
Carson Palmer is still there. I like Carson Palmer. I think you could wait though because you're only going to need to start someone over those two when they're on their bye week. So honestly, if you're streaming, I would even be fine with starting Hoyer as my number 2 for those 2 weeks.
Okay, we'll go back to wide receiver real quick here.
You got 20 seconds. Mitchell is probably who's your highest out of those? I like Diggs. I think is mine.
I think on that board I'd take Brandon Marshall.
Diggs or Williams.
Marshall or Diggs. Oh my gosh, 10 seconds.
I think Brandon Marshall has too much upside in the touchdowns.
He does, but he also has Eli Manning throwing to him and a lot of competition.
Yeah, but he's just a big boy. Remember Flexico?
Diggs. He took Diggs.
Oh, don't agree with that.
Well,
You don't like Diggs?
The good
I
thing,
do like Diggs. I don't know. I think he's going to be a big target. You know what I mean? There's Odell Beckham, and there's always been somebody else missing there. And Sterling Shepard was going to be it, but Brandon Marshall's just too big of a red zone. I think that's a
he might be one that would still be available just because of my family's aversion to Brandon Marshall. So,
hey, yeah, if I'm wrong like that
they don't like Brandon Marshall?
They do not.
Why don't they like Brandon Marshall?
So there's only one person or 2 people in here who would not be opinionated enough to have him on their team.
Why do they hate Brandon Marshall?
I'm not sure why.
They just talk crap about Brandon Marshall.
Yeah.
What about is there any Titans So here's the deal though, I don't know. I mean, at some point here, Rudolph or Delaney Walker or Metellus Bennett are gonna have more value than these wide receivers, and I don't know if people are gonna realize that. I was just looking at the running backs. You have 4 right now, but you don't have any for your bench yet, and those are gonna go before the wide receivers will. I'm looking at Bilal Powell's there, Danny Woodhead, Rob Kelly, Frank Gore, Jonathan Stewart. Who's your guy out of those guys? I would lean towards. I really like Danny Woodhead. I like Rob Kelly, but I think I would put Frank Gore ahead of Rob Kelly. So I'd probably go Woodhead, Gore, and then Kelly. I just don't know. I think Matt Forte is still okay, so not as big on Powell. I don't know how to say his name.
Bilal.
Falafel.
I don't know. I mean, you got a lot of picks before you're up. You know what I mean? So a lot of those guys are going to be off the board.
Maybe.
Well, they should be off the board is what I'm going to say then. Sorry, I just saw the team losing is not an option. That's funny. Like, Haloti Nada. All right, I like Danny Woodhead and Rob Kelly would probably be my top two out of that group, just for pure potential wise. I don't know if Terrence West is going to really be able to do it.
I don't know. Frank Gore, I think, is always undervalued.
Yeah, I think I'll put him at the third out of the. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, they're all. You're going to get points out of all.
See, the only reason I would not pick Frank Gore here is because this has been a very successful draft. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this team's already set. So, at this point, you can take a little bit of risk. You know what I mean? Like, so I would, instead of getting the slow and steady guy, get the guy that can potentially score you a large amount of points.
Frank Gore can score you a lot amount of points. What are you talking about? Frank
Well,
Gore
they just brought in competition for him. He's always had young competition.
Yeah,
and he's old, man.
they
Running
brought-
backs do die out.
eventually, but not Frank Gore. He is Superman. And Frank Gore, he had 8 touchdowns last year and 1,200 yards. So I don't know. I mean, every year I feel like the last 6 years people have been trying to kill Frank Gore. And
eventually they're going to be right.
Eventually they're going to be right, but I don't know if they're right yet. He's about to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think he's the safest pick if he's still there. But I mean, probably shouldn't be there either way.
I mean,
But he probably will be.
Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees should not have been there at the back of the turn, and they were there. So you got to play your draft. I really like your team. I think we still do need some wide receivers. So I don't know. What do you think about Snead now that he's out for 3 games? I guess that's a bit of news that we haven't addressed. Willie Snead got popped for cheating, and he's going to be out for 3 games for using performance enhancement drugs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird, right? Like, you're going to be tested, and that there's always going to be a chance of you getting suspended and not being able to play, losing your money. And athletes are always getting caught with performance-enhancing drugs.
Right. It's interesting, and it's funny how the NFL takes it like way less serious than baseball. Like, if you take steroids in baseball, you're going to be out for like a season. And I feel like in the NFL, you took some steroids or performance-enhancing drugs, 3 weeks, come back. Like, this is probably an epidemic in the NFL. It's just probably unspoken. That would be my guess. But Brandon Marshall's still here. You still got Eric Decker, who I think has a lot of touchdown upside. Adam Thielen I like. Marvin Jones is decent, but you already have Golden Tate. But I still think you got such a deep roster that it might not make a huge deal. First kicker was taken. Justin Tucker just got taken. Legatron. That's good, though. It gives you some value at these other positions. Well, Weaver's on the clock here. I would take Frank Gore.
Brandon Marshall's still there?
Marshall is still there. He's got 2 picks, so you could take both of them.
I wouldn't think twice about taking Marshall.
I think I would take Gore and Marshall. You're taking like a legendary team like 4 years ago.
So the issue I have with Gore, though, is if Luck is out, is that putting too much on Gore?
I don't think Luck will be out for more than like 2 or 3 weeks. And I think, if anything, it could actually help Gore. He's going to get a lot of more carries. I mean, they'll probably stack the box, but the volume will be there. And it's not like he's going to start for you because you already got your roster spots filled.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some good value here, wide receiver.
He would be benched.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess wide receiver is starting to look thin. It might be smart to pick up Decker because you do have a lot of running backs right now.
And
but
the coach did just come out and say that he could have played in the final preseason game, but why would they risk it? So he's ready to play week 1.
And there are a lot of running backs that I would like for you to have here. Maybe you wait and you take 2 running backs the next time.
Well, because you're still drafting starters at this point, right?
No, I think
we're
finally on the bench now.
He's going to be bench. I just have kickers and defense left.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd still take Decker here.
I think Decker. After Decker, there's like a clear, and Thielen. I think there's a clear drop off in value in terms of what wide receivers are left. So let's run through the roster real quick. We got Rodgers, Brees, Tate, Robinson, Garcon, Diggs, David Johnson, Todd Gurley, Ty Montgomery, Rob Gronkowski, Marshawn Lynch, and Brandon Marshall, and then Eric Decker as the first bench player. That's a lot of people to start. I think a lot of those people will do a decent job here. I really do think could use a couple more running backs, especially the more running backs you take, the thinner it is for the rest of your teammates. Let's start looking at some other teams for some comparison. Let's look at Nada, the whoever. Do you know who anyone's team is?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's look at Ben's team. Do you have your cousin, the commissioner?
Yep.
Let's check out his team.
His is always named after some form of medication.
Just to compare that team with another one, this is how do you say this one?
Midazolams, madams?
Midazolams, madams. I have no idea what that means,
It's some form of medication. He always says the first word is some form of medication, and the second word is just alliteration of that word.
Okay. So he's got Rivers, Prescott, and then he's got Evans, Cooks, and Pryor, and Parker. Then he has Devonta Freeman, Ezekiel Elliott, Lamar Miller, Joe Mixon, Kyle Rudolph, Sammy Watkins. I actually think that's a pretty solid team. Who won your league last year?
I don't think he's in it. I think that was Dan. Oh, it's pick 6. So let's take a look at pick 6.
So the person who won the league last year has Winston, Carr, David Carr, Jordy Nelson, Alshon Jeffrey, DeAndre Hopkins. God, I hate both of those guys. Emmanuel Sanders, DeMarco Murray, Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt, Delaney Walker, Emil Abdullah, Jamison Crowder. I think it's okay. I do think your team is better, especially because of your quarterbacks that you have. I think your quarterbacks are going to dominate. Mitchell?
Yeah, I mean, I think so far you have the best team in the league from what I've seen. So, I think.
A bunch of defenses are going right now. Arizona's defense, New England's defense, New York's defense.
Even with starting 2 defenses, I don't think you should take them. I really think you should just start picking up value elsewhere. So there are going to be a lot of injuries, and you have to start a lot of players.
I mean, I think you should look at it the next time it comes around. If one slips out, if there's any value left on the board, probably might be all gone.
I think you should just start draft. You should draft 4 defenses, but all defenses that play the Jets in the first 5 weeks. So Buffalo Bills. I think Oakland plays the Jets. I don't know who else, but that would be pretty funny and effective, I think. Maybe people who play the Jets and the Rams or the Jets and the Texans.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
it might be time to grab, just if everybody else is grabbing it.
I don't know. I like to start the trend. I don't like to follow especially with. I'm just
saying while there's value, because if you get 2 shitty defenses, then you're missing out on an extra 10 points a week, and 10 points a week could be.
Well, I disagree with that because a lot of defense runs off of value or matchup. So you could stream, and there's going to be a few defenses to stream each week. I mean, there's only 16, so you got half of the league you get to choose from each week to stream, unless someone carries a 3rd defense on the roster, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did in this league. But still, I don't know. I would rather take 2 more really solid running backs here, like Woodhead and Gore, or Gore and Stewart, or Powell and Gore, or any of those 4 before they're gone. Because if you go back to the running backs real quick, after those are gone, you're not even really looking at starters anymore. You're looking at backups. And if you can still take starting running backs here coming up, and there's only 3 of them on the board, I think you got to take them.
I mean, I guess I hear what you're saying, but I think we got decent running backs as of now with some depth.
We don't have any bench running backs yet.
I guess that's true, but I'm just saying you want to consider it.
They all have the same bye week too. David, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of his starters have a week 8 bye week, which really you could make the argument that that's kind of a good thing. Maybe you're giving up 1 week, but then you don't lose that value on any other week.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I never look at bye weeks when I draft.
Yeah.
I never do. I don't think it's a good strategy to either. Doug Martin's still there too, so I don't know. I wouldn't be upset with taking any of those 4: Martin, Woodhead, Gore, and Stewart. I would take Woodhead and Gore though if those are the best two. He's
They're
up.
still there.
I guess to see what the defense is left to see what Mitchell thinks.
No, I mean it's
Defense, top one, Carolina.
Defense is so hard to
Pittsburgh.
predict though. Is my
that's
Yeah,
true,
it's-
and it's only round 14. So I mean, I would.
what about tight ends? Is there a tight end you could stand? Because you can start a third tight end.
Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry has some potential, but I still don't think as much. What about wide receivers? If there's anyone who shouldn't be there for some reason. Snead is starting to fall.
Thielen's still there. He's your guy.
I like the.
I think there's still some quality wide receiver out there, though.
I do too. I think I would snag both the running backs
You can
because
get Corey Coleman.
I think some of those are going to fall to him.
So Woodhead.
I would take Gore for if you're only taking one running back. I'm taking Gore, or Woodhead. I don't know. I think I took Woodhead in our league to be honest over Gore. I would take them both.
Gore.
I would take them both though.
You're saying Gore?
Yeah.
I'd take them both, and then you don't have to draft another running back for a while.
Then I'll take Matt Prater. No, I'm just kidding.
Still there. I just checked.
Yeah, the
'cause
thing is, like,
it surprised me.
if you take Woodhead too here, then you don't have to worry about a running back for a while. You can focus on those wide receivers. There's a lot more better wide receivers left than running backs, I think.
Well, there's still some value in running back though too. I mean, you got Eddie Lacy and Thomas Rawls. If you went back to back on those guys, then pretty much guaranteeing yourself a
Yeah,
starter.
but why spend 2 picks when you can spend 1 pick on Danny Woodhead and get that value?
Yeah, but you don't know if you're getting that value. That's what I'm saying. The argument of the value is, what I mean. If you're gonna take a shot, then it's still gonna be a shot.
I feel
Eventually,
like
one of the picks you make
Woodhead's
is
still
Jack
around in
Woodhead.
round. I took Woodhead in round 7 in our standard score.
And I think that was a big reach.
I don't think it was a big reach. I think it was a
Well,
slight
this is
reach.
round 15.
This
I
is
don't agree with Woodhead. I think he's more value in PPR. It's not
He
really
is,
great.
but he's probably gonna. If you catch 90 balls, you're still gonna get a lot of touchdowns and yards. And his only competition is Terrence West, and Terrence West is garbage. And they are on the offense that threw the most passes last year was the Baltimore Ravens.
I hear what you're saying. And that's what we picked, but I disagree.
Well, the court has decided, and the jury has ruled.
Because time was running out.
Danny Woodhead is on the squad.
Again, I can always drop him later if need be.
We're dropping all the players later.
Did you ever come up with that MVP,
I mean, I pretty much gave you Devontae Parker.
Devontae Parker?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, that works perfectly with our slap bet. Another one of my guys this year, and I don't know if I think I've been growing on this more, is I got a feeling that Michael Crabtree is going to outscore fantasy football-wise. I'm not willing to make a bet on this, but outscore Amari Cooper, especially in standard scoring leagues. What do you think?
I disagree.
By a
I
lot?
think
or-
I think it'll be closer than people think.
And I have Crabtree. I think he's one of the only players I have on all of my leagues. I just ended up with him. I traded up to get him. So I think what could be cool is me and Mitchell play in this league. It's our home league. It's our league of record. It's our big money league. It's the Booty Bowl league. I'm the commissioner of this league. I would like to, we're gonna reveal our teams to you. It's a 10-person standard scoring league. Standard Yahoo scoring, nothing fancy about it. 1 quarterback, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, a kicker, and a defense. So, and I guess we'll reveal would it make more, let's reveal our rosters comparison, or would you rather reveal it by the picks that we drafted people?
We can do comparison.
All right, so comparison-wise, for quarterback, I have Kirk Cousins.
I have Matt Ryan.
And I think if you remember our quarterbacks ranking episode, I had Kirk Cousins ahead of Matt Ryan, but I think Mitchell had Matt Ryan ahead of Kirk.
Yes.
So I think we would both be arguing here that we got the value there. What round did you take Ryan in?
I think 6.
And I got Cousins in the 8th. So that would be my argument, is that I got a quarterback who I don't think is that much. I think is actually ahead of Matt Ryan, but even I don't think you can argue that he's that far behind Matt Ryan.
No, I wouldn't say he's that far behind. I mean, well, if you're comparing him on a last season basis, then yes, he's far behind. I mean, he was an MVP player last year.
Right, he's quarterback 2 last year.
Who?
Matt Ryan.
Yeah, but I'm saying like even in actual NFL, he was legitimately the MVP.
Yeah, no, I know.
So I think he's a step ahead. I think he definitely is he's more of an impact player. That's why I took him earlier, and that's why I took him there. I think he's a safe bet, like, for solid 17 to 21 points every week.
Yeah, I'm thinking Cousins will be in that range as well. We're coming up on the next pick here. So we got 2 picks. We're kind of into the bench spots. I would say high priority here is probably wide receiver. Is there any quarterbacks left that shouldn't be there? Because getting a third quarterback would be... So the best quarterbacks available are Tyrod Taylor, Jay Cutler, Brian Hoyer, Joe Flacco, Sam Bradford, Alex Smith.
I don't think it's worth it.
I like Tyrod, but
As a backup that only plays twice.
as a backup, it only plays twice. I do, but I don't know if I would take him now. I think you can wait. Willie Snead, I think, is probably... I don't know, because he's out for 3 games, but you got enough players that I think you can wait. Ted Ginn is still there, so Zay Jones, I like Robbie Anderson.
I like Corey Coleman.
Corey Coleman, I like Marvin Jones. Really, I kind of rank all of these guys relatively the same. I would probably go with Willie Snead, and if you got Snead and Ginn, I think you're locking up that wide receiving core, especially to pair them with Drew Brees. But I think any of those would be decent bench spots. And then you still got Stewart on the clock. I know we keep taking so many running backs, but I usually take the only running back I like left. But I don't know. You probably should take 2 wide receivers here.
So you're saying maybe Ginn and
Snead. If you take Ginn, I would take both because they're both on the same. Snead's out for 3 games. I think Ginn will step into that role. But I think both of them ultimately
Did Hunter Henry
have
already go?
potential to get 1,000-yard seasons. If I was taking one over the other, though, I think Snead has more long season value. Better pick quick. Uh-oh. Well, out of time. Who did they take for you? Jonathan Stewart. Okay. Yeah,
So
that's better than taking a random defense, which is what the computer would have done.
maybe. All right, wide receivers. Okay.
What about tight ends? Is Hunter Henry still there? He might be worth a value pick here.
Yeah, especially because you don't have a backup tight end. But the bench spot's so big. Ebron would be my highest ranked one, but I don't think I would take him. Or Ertz. Ertz has potential, I think.
Who?
Zach Ertz.
Ebron is your number one?
Ebron.
Oh. Making sure it wasn't Ebron.
LeBron James.
It's just LeBron without the losses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I would take a wide receiver. I don't. Or Ertz. If you're going to take another tight end, it would probably be Ertz.
No, I would take a wide out. Go back there. Who's there?
Snead,
Ginn.
Matthews, Ginn, Jones.
I just don't know if you
Hoyer,
wait on Snead after.
Coleman.
He's not going to get picked with people knowing him. He's going to be out. I almost guarantee.
I would go maybe
Ginn.
Jordan Matthews or I would go Corey Coleman. Honestly.
Corey Coleman would be solid.
He's one of my sleepers on the year too. I think that he'll actually outscore Kenny Britt and have a solid year. I don't think he'll be anything crazy, you know what I mean? But I think he'll be a nice wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4.
So I think real quick, me and Mitchell are going to go through our teams, and then we're going to wrap the podcast up here, and then we'll start hitting it next week with our stardom, situms, players of the week, recap, etc. So I have Cousins, and he has Ryan, so our top wide receivers. I have Jordy Nelson.
I have Julio Jones.
And I think that you got to give the edge to Julio Jones, but I don't think it's as wide a margin as some people might argue. Because Jordy Nelson was the number 1 wide receiver in standard scoring last year. And then I have Demaryius Thomas.
I have Golden Tate. I think you have the edge there.
And then I have Michael Crabtree.
I have Emmanuel Sanders. I also think you have the edge there.
Then I have Devonta Freeman.
I have Jay Ajayi. I think you have the edge there.
Isaiah Crowell.
I have Marshawn Lynch. I think I have the edge there.
disagree, but I think it's close. Jordan Reed.
I have Greg Olson. I think I have the edge due to injury.
Yeah, if Reed's not healthy. And then I have my bench. I'm just going to read my bench. You can read your bench. I got Woodhead, Carson, Rob Kelly, Duke Johnson Jr., Zay Jones, and Ted Ginn Jr.
I think I have a lot more value on my bench. I have Quiz Rogers, Frank Gore, Dante Moncrief, Eric Decker, Thomas Rawls, and Josh Doxson.
And then kicker defense, I have Tucker, and Buffalo defense, I picked Buffalo because they play the Jets week 1.
I have Vinatieri in Minnesota, and I picked Minnesota because they're pretty good.
But anyway, thanks for joining us. Just to give you a recap of the draft, Weaver's team is we'll just get into it real quick for you. He has Rodgers, Breeze, Golden Tate, Allen Robinson, Pierre Garçon, Stephon Diggs, David Johnson, Todd Gurley, Ty Montgomery, Rob Gronkowski, Marshawn Lynch, Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, Frank Gore, Danny Woodhead, Jonathan Stewart, and Corey Coleman, and he still has quite a few rounds to go. This has been the Fantasy Football Bros podcast. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at the Fantasy Football Bros podcast. Make sure that you subscribe. On YouTube and on Apple Podcasts. Check out Split Six Media, and shout out to our producer, Nick Wagella, back in the mitten. His fantasy football team sucks, by the way. We should have spent 15 minutes talking about that. All right, have a great day.
Peace.